Welcome, dear listeners, to a land of timeless legends and whispering winds. Tonight, we journey to the heart of Ireland, a land where the fabric of reality is often stitched with threads of myth. Our story is called The Weaver's Infinite Tapestry, a tale of a humble craftswoman whose fate becomes entwined with a mystical loom capable of preserving the stories of an entire people. In this world of druids, fairies, and ancient glens, we explore the importance of memory, storytelling, and history. So, brew a warm cup of tea, settle into your favorite chair, and prepare to be transported to a realm where every thread holds a story. Long ago, in a quiet village nestled between Ireland's emerald hills and wild roaring seas, there lived a woman named Ina. She was a weaver, a master of her craft, and her work was celebrated across the land. Villagers would visit her stone cottage with commissions for tapestries to mark births, marriages, and even the passing of loved ones. Despite the beauty of her work, Ina felt an ache deep in her soul. Her tapestries, so loved in their moment, seemed to fade into obscurity with the passage of time. She often sat by her hearth in the evenings, her cat curled at her feet, wondering if her creations mattered at all. Was beauty enough if it couldn't last? One stormy evening, as thunder growled across the hills and the wind howled through the cracks of her stone cottage, the weaver sat by the hearth, her hands idle for the first time in days. The warm glow of the fire flickered across the walls, casting fleeting shadows on her vibrant tapestries, scenes of life, love, and loss, woven with unmatched care. Outside, the rain lashed against the small window panes, distorting the view of the rolling emerald hills now cloaked in darkness. The air was heavy with the scent of rain-soaked earth and burning peat. Her cat, unbothered by the storm, lay curled near her feet, purring softly in defiance of the chaos outside. The weaver's heart mirrored the storm. For all the beauty she had crafted, doubts lingered. "Will my work outlast the storms of time?" she whispered to the cat, her voice nearly swallowed by a sharp clap of thunder. At that moment, a knock echoed from the wooden door, startling both her and the cat. Visitors were rare, especially on nights like this. She hesitated before standing, the floor creaking beneath her as she approached the door. Ina rose, puzzled. Who would visit on a night like this? She opened the door to find a figure cloaked in fabric so strange it seemed alive, shimmering as if woven from moonlight itself. The stranger spoke, their voice as soft as a distant breeze, yet carrying the weight of centuries.
Ina, weaver of stories, your hands are destined for more than fleeting beauty. You are called to preserve the soul of your people.
They held out a spool of thread, glimmering with colors Aine had never seen before, hues that seemed to shift and shimmer, capturing every sunrise, every storm, every tear and laugh she had ever known. Before she could ask who they were, the stranger turned and disappeared into the night. But the thread, impossibly light yet heavy with meaning, remained in her hands. Unable to ignore the pull of the strange thread, Anya felt compelled to follow the path the stranger had taken. She wrapped a shawl around her shoulders and stepped into the stormy night. The rain fell in silver sheets, but Aina pressed on, guided by an unseen force. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying words she could not quite understand. Ancient words, perhaps in the language of the Druids. After what felt like hours, she arrived at a glade bathed in moonlight. In the center of the clearing stood a loom unlike any Aina had ever seen. Its frame was carved from ancient yew wood, its surface etched with intricate symbols of Celtic knots and spirals. The strings of the loom glowed faintly, like threads of starlight spun into something tangible. The stranger reappeared, their cloak shimmering like before.
This,
they said,
is the loom of ages. It is no ordinary loom. It weaves the stories of the world, preserving them for all time. But it requires a keeper, someone who can listen to the threads and give form to the tales they hold. That someone, Aine, is you.
Aina hesitated. The weight of the stranger's words was immense, but when she touched the loom, something awakened in her. A connection, as though the threads themselves were whispering to her. With trembling hands, she began to weave. As her fingers worked, the threads seemed to move of their own accord, guiding her. Images began to appear in the tapestry. The Druids gathering beneath standing stones, their chants filling the air with power. Warriors raising swords against invaders, their faces fierce with determination. Children playing by ancient wells said to be blessed by the fairies. Every thread held a story, and every story became part of the tapestry. Aina wove through the night, the glade filled with the soft glow of her creation. As days turned into weeks, Aina's life became consumed by the loom. Villagers began to notice her absence. She no longer took commissions or visited the market. Those who ventured near the forest spoke of a faint, otherworldly glow deep within the trees. Aina's tapestry grew, telling not just the stories of her village, but of all of Ireland. She wove the heartbreak of the Great Famine, the resilience of families who danced under the stars on Samhain, and the victories of long-forgotten heroes. But the weight of the stories began to take its toll. Each thread carried the emotions of those who lived it, their joy, their sorrow, their pain. Aina began to feel these emotions as if they were her own. Her hands trembled, and her heart ached with the burden of memory.
The burden is heavy,
the stranger said, appearing beside her once more.
But it is also necessary. Without stories, we forget who we are, and when we forget, we are lost.
Aina nodded, tears in her eyes. She understood now that the tapestry was not just for her. It was for everyone. It was a gift to the future, a reminder of the past. As the years passed, Aina grew older, and the loom grew even more radiant. The tapestry stretched endlessly, filled with the stories of Ireland, but she knew her time as keeper was nearing its end. One day, a young girl named Bridget stumbled upon the glade. She was full of curiosity and awe at the sight of the tapestry.
"Teach me,"
Bridget begged.
"Teach me to weave the stories."
Aina smiled, her heart full. She placed the shimmering thread in Bridget's hands.
Every keeper must find their successor,
She said, her voice soft but firm.
and every story must be cherished.
As Ina stepped away from the loom, the glade seemed to glow